So Simon, you're the star of the show, okay? And you've written some blogs apparently, right? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. And you're traveling all around, right? Traveling all around the world. Can you tell me a little bit how you feel traveling around the world? Tell me your age again. What is your age?
12.
Okay.
12.
Can you tell me what it's like to travel around the world at 12?
At first, it was kind of a jump start of joy and happiness. I got to jump away from the horrors of the middle school I went to, and I was able to travel the world, which is a privilege not many get to enjoy.
So you got to leave your traditional average middle school, which of course are, middle schools are always very interesting socially and academically, and there's so much going on.
Melissa you were a middle school teacher along with me. Yes.
Absolutely.
Many years ago.
I hear you. I totally hear you. But having an alternate experience in middle school is probably pretty interesting. Could you talk with students a bit about, or people who are listening who would be interested, other middle school students, about how you are experiencing school and what you're learning as a traveler?
I feel like, if I understand your question properly, most of my blogs that I write, I am trying to give kids who are stuck, well, not stuck, but at a normal middle school, kind of trying to put them first person almost. Like, I want my blog post to be able to make the kids reading it kind of feel immersed almost.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's really nice. How many countries have you been to so far?
Well, we started in Canada, then we went up to Norway and Portugal. So I'm gonna get some help with this. Mama, how many countries have we effectively been to over the... Okay, so we've been to about 11 so far.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to go to at least 11.
So as an American, how is it different to travel?
Well, when we set out on this trip, we were trying to find a country that had nationalized healthcare and less gun violence, which is basically everywhere else. So as an American traveling, it is interesting to see the contrast from place to place. Like, things and people killing each other happens often in America, and people just brushed off. 50 years ago, a couple days ago, there was a riot here, and they are still having the tightest security 50 years later, even though it was only like 5 or 6 people that were killed. Like, you can see just how much countries really care about each person that lives in.
Tell her about Croatia. We went on a horseback ride in Croatia, and the fellow who was the guy who owned the horses we told him about, like, there had just been the school shooting in Uvalde, Texas, and about how many school shootings there were and how distressed we were about the violence in America. Tell her what he said about it.
Yeah, he said, why didn't you guys just ban all guns after the first shooting?
He was amazed that our culture didn't just say, that's enough, we're stopping this now, because in Croatia, that's what they did. So it's illegal to own a handgun in Croatia because there was one incident like that. It also happened in Scotland. There was one school shooting. Scotland said, that's enough, we're going to stop handgun use. And it is striking how you don't see guns anywhere. You don't see t-shirts and billboards advertising guns. It's just like, I know there's violence here, but it's nothing like what's in America. You feel so much more safer here.
Yeah, that's good. So, Of course, you had mentioned school and how it's different. How do you meet new people and keep track of them? I mean, you don't have to, of course, your traditional, sit with your friends at lunch life, but how do you meet people and connect with them?
Well, I do actually kind of sit at a lunch table and talk to friends normally. Me and my mom just got off a cruise around Italy, and it was a 12-day cruise, and I met Sophia, Kaden, and Michaela, who are 3 people that I just met at the Kidz Club, and we started hanging out outside of Kidz Club and just became friends. But
so how do you keep in touch with them?
Well, mostly like texting, but mainly Discord, which is like another type of social that I use.
He keeps in touch with his friends from Denton, Texas, via texting and Discord. And then also, like where we are right now, we're not in a hotel, we're in a hostel. Mm-hmm. And so the cool thing about hostels is that we're meeting people from all over the world and, getting to know them. And in some cases, exchanging phone numbers and whatever. But mostly he stuck with me.
You like that, right, Simon?
He's 12. But I will say that the hostel culture in Europe is wonderful because you can meet people from literally all over the world and exchange thoughts and ideas. And to me, I don't know if you would agree with this or not, it's lovely to give people an impression of what Americans are like, but also for us to get the impression of what different countries are, because we have so much more in common with each other. And I don't think that America is so isolated with our two oceans. We don't get to know people that much from other countries. So it's really cool to get to meet, have conversations, even if it's just for 2 or 3 nights, to have some good company.
So are a lot of the students that the kids that you meet your own age, various places, are they in regular school, or are they also like doing alternate types of plans?
Oh, most of them are just taking a break from school or are in normal school.
Okay. But have you met anybody else who's doing school differently or education differently?
My mom only talks about them, and I haven't really met any of them.
Yeah, it's funny, so many people when they see Simon will tell us the story of they did it when they were younger, or they had a son or daughter that did it, or they knew somebody else. So it seems like it is way more common than we thought, but we haven't directly met anyone else who's doing what we're doing yet. But we know they're everywhere.
Absolutely. So I think you guys, I could be wrong, you're traveling for a year? You're going to travel and look for someplace?
Yes.
Is there any place on your radar that, like, Simon, if you had to pick 3 places so far that you would think, I would love to live there, what would you pick and why?
Number 1 slot would be Norway, just for the sheer fact that it has ginormous glaciers, it gets dark and cold in the winters, and there's a bunch of hiking. And they use a different type of currency called the kroner, which very much interests me.
What's the second?
Wait a minute, before we move on. Why you said because it gets dark and cold in the winter is why you want to be there? That's why? Okay.
Yes. Well, one of the reasons.
Okay.
I don't understand that part either, Melissa.
I was just thinking,
but it's okay. I think because he's from Texas, he doesn't understand what it's like. I think it sounds very exotic to him.
I understand.
All right. I'm just sorry. I apologize. Give her your other 2 fabulous. Where else would you like?
Number 2, probably Northern Italy for like the exact same reasons, and it's cheaper there.
Mm-hmm.
And 3rd, probably, where did we do the
Canada in Quebec province?
In Quebec province in Canada would probably be my 3rd, mostly because it has beautiful sunsets. It's cold. It is called yurts, which are like a mobile home crossed with loft.
That sounds interesting. I guess it's not.
So it sounds like he likes the cold weather. We've made a real effort to see both city and country places and stay in a mix of hostels, hotels, apartments, B&Bs. And then a lot of our time in Italy was spent in these things called agriturismos, which are farm stays. And so you stay on the farm, you get to meet the farmer. You get, like, we stayed on a raspberry farm, we stayed on a buffalo milk farm, we stayed on a rice farm, and they give you a place to sleep and some breakfast. But the thing is, you get to like meet them and experience their way of life for a day or 2. So I've really liked the agriturismo stays.
Well, I have, since you've been traveling so much across the world, what are the other languages that you're familiar with? Or do you feel that everybody's pretty much familiar with your language?
Well, English kind of is the second language of everyone, it seems. But some of the other main languages we've run into are French, German, and Italian.
We've learned words here and there. So we've learned like hello, good morning, please, and thank for all the countries we've stayed in. But we're doing Duolingo, and so we're learning different languages that way. And yeah, it's really remarkable that I don't want to be the ugly American, but because of Great Britain, at least in Europe, because of Great Britain, colonizing everything, England, and also because of the media, American music is everywhere in the world, and American TV and movies are everywhere. So there really is a pervasive English everywhere. But we try to learn as much and use as much of foreign language.
So when you settle down, if it happens to be a country that doesn't speak English predominantly, you're going to try to learn that language.
Yeah, or just become a hermit and live in the countryside.
Okay, that's a fun thing. No, that's good. Here's hermits. Okay, so Simon, you guys are going to settle down after a year, and right now you're homeschooling. Do you want to continue to homeschool, or do you think that you'll try to go to one of the schools?
As good as it is to have homeschool, and I feel like I am getting advanced in education, I do like being surrounded with children within my age group. So I hope to go back to a normal middle school when all this is over.
There's also things he can't do with me homeschooling him. Like I don't have a science lab. I don't have a theater. I can't do band with him. He plays double bass. We can't take a double bass around with us around the world. Mm-hmm. So, he plays tennis. I can't take a tennis racket even. So I think a lot of things kind of need to be settled down to get a full experience.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Unless, of course, you just decide once you settle down to get a bass and a tennis racket, right? Because then he could do that, just not at school, right? You could be on the tennis thing.
We're in backpacks, Melissa. We are in backpacks that fit under airplane seats. So we have these 35-liter backpacks, and that is it. So we literally do laundry every 4 or 5 days. We try to seek out apartments that have washing machines so that we don't have to hang out in laundromats too much. Although we've met some interesting people in laundromat. We met a clown. We met a clown in a laundromat once.
Wearing his clown outfits?
In his clown outfit, yes. He was coming to check on his mother who was doing laundry, and he just walked. It was funny. So I like this lifestyle, but I also realize it would not be the best for him right now. So we'll need to go back to the real world. I think our biggest decision now is balancing. We like the countryside. We like living outside of big cities. But we're looking at bilingual schools to ease him into a language. And he was also IB schools the whole time he's been in school so far. So having to live close enough to civilization that there's a school that he could at least start off in English. So that's our big thing right now is where do we settle that?
Is there any chance that you would love to come back to America and live?
Politics, yeah.
Okay, we were frozen for a minute. So could you go back to the answer you were giving about coming back to America?
I feel like all the violence has just kind of deterred me from it.
Right. Okay. All right.
And although my friends are there, I don't really want to go back.
You're willing to try an experience?
Yes, I am willing to try a new country.
That is interesting. So, Simon, I would love to publish one of your blogs in my magazine. There's a print issue, but of course we also have a digital copy where, we could link to your blog and talk about you so they can just read all of your blog. But if you had a choice between which blog, talking about which particular country that you want to share with people who are not going to go on the internet, they just want to look at what they have in front of them. Which blog would you want me to publish? Which country?
I tend to write more powerful and moving blogs the more passionate I'm about a country. Mm-hmm. So I suggest either Norway or Croatia.
You did do a really good job on Croatia. Mm-hmm. Because that was a country we weren't going to go to.
I'd say Croatia.
And then we went there.
By then, I have experience with writing, and I like the place. So Croatia would be.
Mm-hmm. Now
we also have just put Turkey up, but we're in Greece, and I think we have a couple entries. Like we went back to France, Italy, for a couple tour we just took with so we have a little.
Yes,
but yeah, I think the Croatia ones they're all pretty good. But I'm your mom.
Yep. So I have an academic question for you. I think that your writing is pretty good and pretty clear. For 12, you're in 7th grade, right? Basically, yeah. So tell me. Yes. So what have you done to make your writing to improve your writing or to develop your writing? Besides your mom, of course, was an English teacher and all that. What have you done to hone your writing skills? Oh, we're frozen.
Try it again, though. I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what have you done to develop your writing skills to be at such a high level for your grade?
Mostly just the repetition of writing reports every single time we leave a country has really just, I've kind of learned from myself.
Learn from practice, repetition.
Yes.
Also, Melissa, I'm going to tell you, he has always had a hard time with dysgraphia, and so speech you don't technically correct, but because so what I'm saying is he'll do speech to text, and then he'll edit his text, and then for content, and then he'll edit his text for punctuation and grammar, and sometimes I go in and edit for punctuation and grammar too.
Sounds like a very good process because everybody has to have a process. And
Yeah, so he does have a process, and I think his process is that we talk about the things, like we might say these are the top 3 things we want to tell people about Croatia, and or these are the top things we saw in Norway, and then he'll write about it, and then he'll go back and edit what he wrote for content, and then he finally at the end, like I'm the type who goes at the beginning and edits for commas and periods, and he does that at the end. So it's cool to watch him have his own way to edit.
Okay, yeah, that's very important. I think as people get to upper elementary, middle, high school, and definitely college, they have to have a process that works for them to make the outcome be good. Ultimately, whatever you put out there, like publish, submit to somebody, it should be a nice final version. And you have some nice final versions of your work. Well, thank you so much for your time.